quantity versus quality, which one do you guys prefer? Anyone? Which one do you guys prefer, and what kind of differences do you see from the process? You prefer quantity. Why?
You can have a lot of ideas, then you combine them together to make it a quality.
You start with more ideas, right? And it seems like everybody is just jumping into the designing process. When I observe, like the quality group seems to have more discussion in the beginning. The quantity group is just start working on things like quickly, right? Okay. Anything else? Anybody else has a different opinion or a supporting opinion? What's everybody's? Anybody from history? What do you guys think? Which one do you like better?
I think quantity, there's not much time to find out ideas.
Okay, the quality one is like rushed, right? You don't have much time to refine. So which one do you prefer? You prefer the quality one?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? What have you had?
The quality is better because I think the reinforcements, people actually listen to the reinforcement part, the discussion part more. The quality you always fixed on the number of stuff you want to push out.
Which one? You mean the quantity one you fix on the things you want to push on?
Yeah.
The quality one you actually get
Yeah,
more,
it's more collaborative.
more collaborative. Okay. Interesting perspective. All right. Anyone else? You guys prefer quality, prefer quality. How about anyone here? Here? You prefer
Not quantity.
Quantity. Quantity. Why?
Because like you're not restricted from the start. You can just like express whatever you want, and then you just come together and see which is like the strengths of everyone's, then just like put them there.
Okay. Yeah, combining the different ones. How about you guys? Which one do you like better? You prefer the quality one. And the reason is? Okay, good. How about you guys? Quality and quantity. We have two group quantity, how many? Two group quantity, three group quality. You guys, quantity or quality? Huh? You prefer quality as well. Okay, there's 4 quality groups and quantity groups. All right, okay. I mean, it's good that you guys have this experience, but let's look at another experience has been carried out by some scientific researcher, right, in Stanford University. And what's their conclusion of that? Okay. So, like, this is the quality approach. You kind of drill down to one design and then try to refine as much as you can. This is the quantity group. This is the quantity approach. You come up with as many possible things as possible. You just do it. And then after that, you select what's the best one from there. Okay? And typically, right, in the business world, consensus is that quantity is better than quality. Okay? So the reason is because the quality groups are busy coming up with piles of work and learning from their mistakes. The quality groups that set theorizing about perfection, and in the end had a little more to show for their efforts than whatever the theory they have and the pile of that play, right? So I think for this experience, maybe it's a little bit rushed, right? When you're doing the quantity ones, you just feel a bit rushed. But if you do have more people to explore more different ideas, in the end, the final product is typically come up with will be a better product than the one that's coming from the quality approach. Okay? And this has been proven by experiments as well. The exact same experiment we did, but they have a little bit more time. This one is super rushed because we don't have time, right? And I'll ask you guys to do both. I want you guys to experience both approaches so you can compare between them. So this is the quantity group, right? You parallelly do a lot of prototyping, you get feedback, and then you produce the final one. Quality one is just starting with one design, and then you just improve. For this poster thing, maybe give you more time to come up with things. Because 2 minutes is really too short to come up with a good poster. So maybe this one allows you to come up with a better design in some ways. But if you really take this advantage of like having different ideas and combine them, you are likely to come up with a higher quality design. So we have one quality wing and one quality, or 2 quality wing right here. Okay? So what they did is they did the same thing. They asked people to design an advertisement. Okay? And they had the serial, which is the quality group. What they did is that they design, get feedback, design, get feedback, design, get feedback. They have 6 rounds of that. And the quality group, what they did is that they have 3 designs independently, and then they get feedbacks on all 3 together, and then they combine them into 2 designs, and then they get feedbacks on those 2, and then they combine it again with the final design. All right. So this is the experiment is carried out. It's a little bit different from ours, but idea is similar. And they have some measures, right? They try to measure how do you measure the outcome of this particular approach. So the one thing they try to come up with the measure is the user clicks, right? So one way is how do you measure the quality of advertisement? It's truly really not measured just by perhaps judges one way, but the objective measure is that people actually click on your aids, right? So they find out that the quantity group is able to come up with more clicks, right, per million impressions. I mean, this is statistically significant as compared to the quality group. Right? It's better. And also, in terms of visitors spending time on their sites, right? Spending time on the client sites. They also find that the parallel condition, which is the quantity group, is users tend to spend more time, 7 seconds more, right? Significant difference as compared to the serial quality group. And finally, you have the expert rating, like we have expert rating right here. Like expert rating is also higher for the quantity group as compared to the quality group. Okay. So, this. You guys not believe it, right? Especially we have 4 groups here actually supporting the quality approach. But there are reasons behind this. So what are the reasons behind this parallel performance approach? Okay. So one thing here is that in the quality group, right, you have comparisons. Okay. Quality group, when the evaluator is there, he or she is only look at one solution. So when somebody is looking at one solution, the feedback given on the one solution tend to be fixed on one solution. And then when there's only one solution, you tend not to give very critical feedback as well. You're like, this is the only data you have. I shouldn't criticize that too much. Right? On the other hand, when you have comparisons, like there's 3 different things, it's much easier to say that, okay, this part I like it better, this part I like it here better, and this part I like it there better. And I can say that each one has its advantages. So the feedback provided is more objective, and then also open up the mind for the person who provides feedback, so you'll get more richer feedback as well. All right, and in the serial group tend to fixate on design. Right? When they come up with something, they do improve. We can see the improvement is very incremental. They don't have, if they're not, once they have the first design coming out, they lock on it. They no longer be able to kind of deviate from it to explore design space. The effect of exploring design space is much less for the serial group. Okay, and you can see that in terms of diversity, right? Similarity, right? Similarity. So the lower the better. 0 is not similar, right? The lower means they are more different from each other. The diversity of the parallel group or the quantity group is definitely higher than in terms of the serial group. The serial group tend to come up with more similar solutions, while the quantity group come up with more diverse solutions. Okay, and then we mentioned that earlier. If you only have one idea, people tend to be reserved to criticize that because they want to make you happy, right? When we have 3, they don't really care. They just talk more freely. So here is the takeaway points, right? The companies want to see the most models in the least time are the most design sensitive. The companies that want that one perfect model are the least design sensitive. This is the industrial takeaway. Of course, you guys may not have that impression here, but I want you to explore this a bit more. And then once you do this more, hopefully you will reach the same conclusion as what we talk about here in class. All right, so that's this purpose of this exercise. So we kind of dealing with design of the design space. Now we have to think about how do we actually creating, testing those prototypes and get some ideas about the things that we are unknown about. All right, so one thing that you have is that once you have a design idea, right, you can use storyboard, can communicate the idea, but it's still very difficult to get feedback from your users because you haven't used it. Right? Thinking about you using it is very different from actually using it. The feedback you get will be sometimes completely different. So your goal is to be able to receive feedback as early as possible. To do that, you need to come up with some prototypes. And what we typically do is we wanted for you to be able to come up with prototypes that spend the least amount of time, yet achieve the highest amount of learning. Right? This is what we call quick and dirty prototypes. You want to do it very quickly so that to receive feedback, to judge whether or not your solution is viable, before you spend more time into developing the full solution. You want to try many cases. Okay, so let's give you guys some quick and dirty prototyping methods. Right? One very, very classic example is this block of wood. Okay? Can anybody tell me how do you use this block of wood as a prototyping technique? And this is actually a famous design case. Of course, many of you may be too young to know the story. Do you guys even remember this thing? Palm Pilot, 1990s, right? 1990s. Most of you haven't born yet. Yeah, but that's kind of really we're entering the age of mobile computing. Okay, that's the first time mobile computing become viable, accepted by the market. This is a very popular one. I remember I had this Palm Pilot. I was so happy because it just changed my life so much. And many of that become what we have today, right? Become the phone that we have today. All right. So actually, to come up with this particular design, before this Palm Pilot was introduced, Apple introduced its Newton. Or there's many handheld devices has been introduced, but they all failed. Right? Just user didn't find it compelling enough to use. Failed. So how did this become a success? This is the first success. To come up with a success, behind that is always a very compelling design story, right? It happens to be this guy is the one behind this Palm Pilot, Jeff Hawkins. Right? And he saw that the Palm Pilot or the previous mobile device introduced are too bulky and it's not user friendly. Doesn't really find it right. So he wanted to find an alternative device that feels right to use. Of course, to come up with a prototype like this, to actually use it, it's just too costly, right? This is like a huge amount of engineering and design work to put into this. So how can he come up with some designs and to test the design ideas without building this complicated device, right? So what he come up with is this block of wood. Okay, he go to his garage and carve out a piece of block of wood that to the size that he liked. You think, this is the size I wanted to put in my pocket and bring with me. Okay? So once he had this block of wood, he would bring this block of wood with him, and then whenever he is in a context, like maybe waiting for a bus or kind of in the classroom or waiting in the hallway, he would take it out and imagine himself using it. He imagines himself, oh, maybe here I will need to check out the appointment. Here I want to take some notes. And he's kind of having a brain simulation that works through, like just pretending he's using it. He's doing this at many different occasions. And then he found out, okay, this is the way I want it. This actually makes sense. Right? So he's in different contexts, bring out this piece of wood, pretending he has this Palm Pilot. And then it transformed into a design of this Palm Pilot. It was a success. Finally, people figured out, okay, it has a lot of things. First of all, it's charging daily, right? Every day the data will be charged, or will be synchronized, and then the size is the right size, okay? And then what are the functionalities that you need at different occasions? Also, they provide a very good personal management systems, that including your contacts, including taking notes, calendar, etc., which are the things that you really needed when you're on the go. It all comes from this initial prototyping technique that he used. So you can see that it's very powerful technique, right? And that's a story about him, right? You know, people actually see him that looks like a pretty guy, like he's taking notes, checking appointments, synchronizing a small block with his PC, or pretending that that's the real device. You know, you should get inspired by this story, right? How you can actually doing design without building a very complicated prototype.